or what can happen to possibly get it on the list. I went over and questioned Behringer as to why it wasn't repaired. They said we offered the money. The city said they turned it down at that time. When that happened, I have no idea, or if it actually ever did happen. However, the road needs to be repaired. We were vocal about that at the city council meetings prior, so I would like to see the item agendized or whatever needs to be done to make it happen. It's please take a ride over there and don't take your bike though. Anyway, thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Qualley. I'll refer that to our city manager to check out the history behind that offer, to see if it's still valid and to see if we can to see what next steps will be done in terms of agendizing that if necessary. Thank you so much. Other public comment from the public? Seeing none, we'll close that item. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 6, reports by staff and city council, future agenda items and AB 1234 reports. Before I go to our city manager, I'll go to our city attorney to report out closed session labor negotiations.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Walsh.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Immediately prior to the council meeting tonight, the council held a special city council meeting closed session to discuss labor negotiations with the city's labor negotiators, and it was regarding labor negotiations with the St. Helena Employees Association and unrepresented firefighters, and there's no reportable action from that meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Mr. Comelo, you can have the floor and direct who you want to provide staff reports, including yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Anil Comelo, City Manager. Today, I'll have a brief comment to make, and then I'll be followed by ACM or Assistant City Manager Dr. Mitz, followed by Director Jens from the Park and Recreation, and then Chief Hartley in Police Department, and finally Director Kellogg. I just have an announcement to make. The rate study committee is meeting, providing an information session open to the community on September 12th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the fire station. So the community is invited to participate and provide feedback. With that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Mitz.
Great. Thank you very much, Council and members of the public. I wanted to provide a brief update on our GO bond status. So as everyone remembers, the voters did provide very high support to the GO bond, and so we are moving forward and actually doing in the process we need to take in order to issue the bonds. So before Council tonight, under the consent items, is one of the first items that we wanted to get before the Council, and it's a resolution declaring intention to reimburse project expenses. So this does allow the city to claim reimbursement for some expenses that have already been made on some of the projects, in particular the Cronulla Pump Station, since we have already done design for that project. In addition, myself, Director Mark Rincon from our Public Works Department, our Administrative Services Director Mandy Kellogg, we all met to start prioritizing the list and really look to see what our timing is going to be for the 3 different issuances of the bonds. Because once the bond is issued, we have 3 years to spend the funding, so we're going to have to issue 3 different tranches of the bond. We did start prioritizing, and hopefully by the end of the week, we're going to have a more solid list for council. But we know right now a shovel-ready project is a Cronulla Pump Station. So we have already completed the design on that, and so that's going to be one of the first ones that we can get on the project list, as well as the recycled, the wastewater treatment plant recycled pump station, because that will be in conjunction with our current wastewater treatment plant project. So that is the update I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other staff members who are going to be reporting out, if you can make your way closer to the mic as we keep it flowing. Thank you.
Good evening, Vice Mayor, council members. Dave Jans, Parks and Recreation Director. I'm here to let the community know that we are just over 2 months away from this year's 2022 Harvest Festival. Our team is in full swing with planning, and we're expecting a full day of activities. So first and foremost, want everyone to mark their calendars for Saturday, October 15th. We're planning a full day, including the return of a fun run, pet parade, and a full day of activities as part of the Harvest Festival. Secondly, as part of this event, we would not be successful without the support of our community partners and local organizations. So I want to share with the community that we are currently accepting applications for local vendors as well as nonprofit organizations to participate in this year's event. We're taking applications for vendors through August 26th and nonprofit organizations through September 2nd. Anyone that's interested can find that application on the Parks and Recreation website. Stop by our office, send an email, or give us a call at the Parks and Rec Department, and our team would happy to assist you. We're looking forward to a great day on the 15th and hope to see all of you out there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Chief Hartley, welcome.
Good evening, Vice Mayor Doring and council members. I have a couple of items. Over the past several years, actually quite a few years, we've received a lot of speed complaints. That tends to be our #1 complaint within the city. As recent as that was my first call this morning at 7:15. What I have done is I assigned my lieutenant, I've tasked him with doing a traffic mitigation study, so to speak, with some of the people that have the vested interest in the speeding around town. And we're not talking about Main Street or Pope Street. We're talking about a lot of the neighborhoods. So I assigned Lieutenant Tharp to conduct the mitigation study, not a complaint session. Again, we're looking for solutions, not, we know what the issues are. And it includes some of the concerned citizens that have voiced their opinions. The study session will be held tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. at the Carnegie Building, and feel free to stop by and attend if you'd like. The next thing I want to talk is I want to do a little post review of the Blue Note Charles Krug Jazz Festival. As we're all aware, we've received opinions from both sides of the aisle. On July 29th, 30th, and 31st, Charles Krug hosted a 3-day jazz festival from noon until 10 p.m. On July 25th, I met with Ken Tesler, who is the managing director of Blue Note. He was responsible for the music venue along with his security manager. We reviewed the security plan, medical plan, and traffic mitigation plan. The security plan included 70 on-site security personnel and an emergency evacuation plan to ensure safety for everybody, and that it's maintained in case of a major incident or disaster. The event also included 2 separate on-site medical teams, complete with medical doctors and trauma nurses. The traffic mitigation plan included busing festival goers from Napa to St. Helena utilizing Silverado Trail and Deer Park, leaving Main Street, Highway 29 open for emergency vehicles only, which would also help mitigate the traffic flow in downtown St. Helena. At the all festival goers driving themselves were to park on the Krug property accessed by Deer Park Road. On the afternoon of Thursday the 28th, the day before the event, Steve Stanglin from Napa County Roads called CHP and informed them that Blue Note did not have permission to utilize Silverado Trail or Deer Park roads, and that PG&E had given permission to Blue Note to utilize that portion of the Krug parking lot. County Roads forbid it, as it was County Roads access bridge over Deer Park that connected to Krug. According to the county road supervisor who made this call, the county did not want the county to take any liability for people coming and going to the event. This is what created the traffic nightmare, as the traffic mitigation plan had to be hastily revamped with direction from county roads. St. Helena PD had 3 officers working the weekend shifts. Traffic delays forced the 3 officers to work traffic control during the exiting of the event each night and were supplemented by Blue Note personnel. I was in contact with Ken Tesler and my patrol supervisors every night. On Friday night, there were no complaints of noise. I called Mr. Tesler regarding the traffic situation on Main Street, and that was because there was such a traffic mess that we needed additional people. I didn't want to have to use their personnel who were not necessarily trained for it. However, they did have the correct equipment. That's how we got through Friday night. On Saturday night, the encore did not end until 2:35 p.m. And as you can imagine, we received a few phone calls, as did I. I immediately called Mr. Tesler yet again on Sunday night, which ended at 10:15. The statistics that I pulled for the weekend's events from our computer automated data system include Friday nights, there were no complaints of noise. I spoke with Ken Tesler via phone regarding the traffic issues resulting from the county roads not accepting Blue Note's traffic mitigation plan. Saturday night, complainant 1 called loud noise at 9:40, which is not a violation. It was not past the 10 p.m. permitted time. He called again at 10:10. That's when I received a phone call from dispatch and immediately called Tesler out at the site, and the music was shut down. Complainant 1 lives in the county and called in loud noise at 10:09. Complainant 2 lives in the county and called loud noise at 10:19. Complainant 3 is the only one from the city that called in a noise complaint, and that was at 10:26. Complainant 4 lives in the county as well and called at 10:34. We never received any phone calls from the Napa County Sheriff's Department or any public agency outside of our city limits with noise complaints. And normally when the county calls 911 or they call an emergency number, it would go through them and back to us. Sunday, complainant 2 lives in the county, called loud noise at 10:11. Music was shut down by 10:15. I called and spoke with Tesler. The last performance encore had run over yet again, but he immediately turned off had the music shut off while I was still on the phone. Complainant 1 called twice. Only one of those complaints was valid. Complainant 2 called 2 days in a row right after 10 o'clock. 7 total noise complaints in 3 days. All but one of the calls was from the county residents. Only one call was from a city resident. We did tow 3 vehicles off of Deer Park Road that were parked outside of the fog lane and slightly into traffic, which could cause a hazard, even though that is not our major jurisdiction. We also towed 2 vehicles off of the Deer Park and Silverado Trail Bridge. No arrests during or after the 3-day jazz festival. No violence, no threats, and no thefts at the venue. We had a report of 1 theft of a purse at the venue. What had happened is the woman had set her purse down, went off and was visiting with friends. When she went back, her purse was gone. Unbeknownst to her, the friends that she had come with saw that she'd left her purse sitting there for over an hour and decided to take it before it came up missing. So we did locate them and the purse. Traffic was the number 1 issue for the police department, and we can see why. Going further or moving forward, should an event like this take place again, county roads must be involved with the event planning. Are there any questions in regard to the Krug and Blue Note event?
Any questions from council members?
I do have a question. Thank you. What was it that the county rejected? I'm not sure I understand how that piece fit together.
County roads did not want the traffic on their roads. They did not want to accept liability for anything that may have happened.
Those are public roads, so that doesn't really explain to me what it was they were saying no to.
I agree 100%, and I voiced the exact same thing. I have not heard back from them as of yet. The major point of contention is county roads put in that easement, the little bridge over the creek on Deer Park, to access the PG&E lot.
Oh, it was a particular piece of the access infrastructure at the venue.
Correct, and they did not want buses going up and down Silverado Trail or on Deer Park Road for liability reasons is the explanation I was given.
There are buses on both those streets every day, but I can see where they might assert some ownership, if you will, of the bridge they constructed.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Councilmember Chateau.
Thank you. Thank you for that report. Just one question. Is there anything more we can do to guarantee that the music does get pulled at 10? So you don't have to be making that phone call and it can just be very clear.
You know, a little bit of history that goes along with this noise permit. It's something that's been issued for years and years and years in the city of St. Helena. We weren't receiving, when we get called out to a noise complaint, the first time we go out there, we ask them to shut it off. And they comply. 9 times out of 10, as soon as we leave, they're going to turn it back on. The second time we go out there, it's a citation. Each time I called Mr. Tessler on the phone, he answered immediately, and the music was shut down. For a venue this size, we get more loud party calls or loud music calls from the Catholic Church than we did from that event.
I can hear the announcers at the football games from inside my house on 10th Street. So
Correct.
Krug, I couldn't hear it all. But
Well, I spoke with a few of the firefighters after the event was over, specifically about the noise. Inside the venue, they had the speakers pointing north, which made the sound go away from the city. However, residents that are living right there on Silverado Trail, it's right in their backyard.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate the report. On that note, I just wanted to, I wanted to note for the record that there was a public comment received in written form, and that was from Mr. Norm Manzer on this issue. I just wanted to put that in the record because I failed to announce that at the public comment time. Now, Mandy.
Yeah. Good evening, Vice Mayor and council members. So I do have some exciting news to share. This past week, we were notified by the Housing and Community Development that we were officially awarded 2 CDBG grants. The first is in the amount of $498,000 for the Community Wellness and Mental Health Program that will be done in collaboration with Aldea, and that'll be offered to low-income families or moderate to low-income families. And then we were also awarded the business assistance for to help assist with retaining jobs for low to moderate income individuals. And then we also were awarded the hazard mitigation grant for emergency backup power for the Cronulla pump station and for the courtyard. And that was for $257,000.
Wow.
That's great.
That is good news.
Yes.
One question, the business assistance, was that also $500,000?
It was,
Okay,
yes.
thank you. Congrats, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent news. More news to come. Any other staff members wanting to report at this point? Okay, I think you have it. All right. Now it's time for a proclamation. I know there was a message that we received from our mayor. Maybe I will, if you can pull that up. I'm going to read the proclamation right now, but if you can find that and read that, that would be helpful. But we have gone all out with a proclamation for Ms. Julie Spencer. We all know Julie very well. I'm going to read this, but I am just very delighted to be able to present this proclamation to you. And our city council is also. You're a true partner with the city. Rianda House is a true partner with the city. And it's a model that everyone in the county should be looking at because we are doing it right, and you have helped us make sure we do it right. Congratulations on that. Let me take a moment. I'm not going to go to the podium like prior mayors do. I'll just read it from here, but then I'll present it to you. I'll walk around and present it to you shortly. So this says, City of St. Helena Proclamation in recognition of Julie Spencer's many contributions to our city. August 9th, 2022. Whereas Julie Spencer, now retired, joined the Rianda House Senior Activity Center as its founding executive director in October of 2008. Whereas over the course of nearly 14 years under Julie's clear-eyed leadership, Rianda House grew to become not only a respected and beloved social center for seniors with its warm and inviting atmosphere, but also a valuable resource for caregivers and an important hub for access to senior services from a multitude of nonprofits. Whereas Julie grew weekly attendance at Rianda House programs, classes, and events from approximately 100 clients in 2008 to 637 clients in 2020. During that year, these 637 clients had 5,505 interactions with Rianda House. Whew, someone keeps those stats, I'll tell you. Whereas Julie, respected by all for her deep passion for older adults and her collaborative nature and creativity, substantially contributed to Rianda House's positive impact on the Up Valley community by advocating for and providing services for older adults and partnering with 22 Napa Valley resource organizations. During Julie's tenure, Rianda House forged partnerships with the City of St. Helena and nonprofits like the Up Valley Family Center, the St. Helena Hospital Foundation, and joined networks like the Up Valley Senior Collaborative, Happy Aging Population Initiative, and community organizations active in disaster, COAD. Additionally, Julie partnered with the Culinary Institute of America to provide monthly lunches for Rianda House participants and with Meals on Wheels to provide weekly congregate meals. Julie and her team at Rianda House particularly shined through the COVID-19 pandemic by partnering with the St. Helena Hospital Foundation to educate and encourage local seniors to become vaccinated, by initiating wellness calls to local seniors, and by quickly transforming Rianda House into a virtual network of Zoom meetings to keep our seniors connected and engaged. Whereas Julie created the Rianda House Recycling Program, and with her mother, Carol Spencer, worked with a group of dedicated volunteers to establish its beautiful garden. Julie greatly increased Rianda House's reach and influence by producing a monthly newsletter featuring a wide selection of classes and special events, and expanding Rianda House services, programs, and resources into Calistoga. With the bulk of the county's population and social services being based in Napa and American Canyon, Rianda House, under Julie's leadership, has provided Up Valley seniors with increased confidence in their ability to thrive and age in their homes and communities. Thinking of my mom right now, sorry. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, the mayor, Jeff Ellsworth, who wanted to be here, and we'll get a note from him, mayor of the city of St. Helena, along with the entire city council, issue this proclamation on behalf of the city and ask all our residents to join us in expressing our eternal gratitude for Julie Spencer's many contributions to our city, and especially for her efforts in making Rianda House an indispensable resource for Up Valley residents who wish to stay in their homes as they age. Thank you.
Hear, hear.
Shake hands, and I will walk this way.
Just come on in. Good job. Nice job. Thank you. Yeah, I know. So much. I'm touched. I'm honored. I'm thrilled. I'm so proud. And this is directed towards me, and I'm just one part of Rianda House, because I'm looking, we all happen to wear blue today, unbeknownst to us, but we're all in blue. That shows what a great team we are. We just naturally connect. But I am honored to kind of have started the energy forward Jean's idea, Jean's dream. Greta Erickson jumped in, past mayor. She rallied everybody together. So the collaborative spirit was already there. And Rianda House has always been a mirror out to the public. You know, what do you want? What would you like to see? And we listen. And it has grown based on everybody's collaboration and interest in making St. Helena an age-friendly community. And the council and the mayors, the 4 mayors, have all been interested in this. Many council members in my time, and you still are. You're granting your fiscal support of Rianda House has grown exponentially, and that's a very, very proud moment for me when you all decided that Rianda House Family Center and Boys and Girls Club needs to be on the, considered year after year after year instead of just occasionally. Not occasionally, but I'm not using my words in the way that I really want to say because I would kind of want to blubber right now, but but I'm just so proud that it's a collaborative effort. It's a partnership that I've been very proud of. The city's been easy to be partners with. And I'm looking at the team. We've got board members here. We've got Elizabeth. We've got Carol Cotton's a board member twice. Peter working is our board chair. Maury is our new director. His wife, Julie. Elizabeth has been rocking it out of the park with the programs. Really awesome in partnering with the city. Tony makes sure that we get everything organized. Mary was a program manager. And then I got my sis, because it's always a family deal. And then, I can remember calling John when the fires, 2020 glass fires, texting you and say, I need to worry. He goes, we've got Rianda House. It's like, okay. So that's how close we've all been. And just so very grateful. This is such a kind thing that you've done. Thank you. I hope this goes somewhere because, yes, it's got my name on it, but it's really about Rianda House. And Maury is going to keep this going. You might use this as a template because he's going to, So
Thank you
so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for the energies that's gone into this. I will hang it proudly on my wall at home.
All right.
Thank you.
Happy retirement. You want to have, there's a brief note apparently from Mayor Ellsworth that.
Okay.
One more. So, unfortunately, I'm unable to attend tonight's meeting, but wanted to offer my deep and heartfelt thank you and gratitude to Julie for the incredible work over the last many years in bringing Rianda House and our connection with our senior community to such wonderful fruition, and especially with the selfless and tireless dedication through the COVID years in keeping such an important asset to our community vibrantly and creatively functioning at such high levels. Julie, you're amazing, and will always have a place deep in the heart of St. Helena and the Up Valley community.
Yay.
Mayor Ellsworth.
All right. Nice. Okay, item 7.2 under presentations. We're going to go back to Cindy for oaths of office for 3 firefighters. Turn it over to you, Cindy. Thank you. Madam Clerk.
So the 3 firefighters want to come forward? Someone.
Lined up this way or towards
Lined
the council?
up. Good in the center. You're on display.
Yeah.
So you'll repeat after me. Raise your right hand. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter. Congratulations.
John Sorensen, Fire Chief. We have just a quick badge pinning on the new hires. We have Sagun, Bauer, and Martinez. I have Assistant Chief Waters and Captain Salakian. We'll pin the badges right now. All right, and that's all I have tonight. Thank you, Council.
Well, Chief Sorensen, that is a very efficient use of our precious time. A lot at one time, I'll tell you. It's been building up. Thank you. And welcome aboard, and we look forward to working with all of you. Thank you for your service to our community. We need you, and we thank you. Okay, moving on to consent items. As most of you know, the consent calendar is for regular items that are not typically in need of a whole lot of discussion, and we approve these virtually automatically unless one of our council members or a member of the public wishes to pull an item. We have items 8.1 through 8.4. Turn to staff first to see if there are any items that must be pulled for one reason or another, and then I'll look to council members if they want to pull an item, or anyone in the public. Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the consent calendar.
I'll move adoption of the consent calendar.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second to adopt the consent item calendar. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Hardy?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Chateau?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Doring?
Yes. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 9.1, old business. Introduction and proposed approval for the first reading of a safe firearm storage ordinance. I'll direct this to City Manager Camelo to introduce the item and the staff member. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'll just go ahead and invite Chief Hardy up so he can present his staff report and make the presentation.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor again, and City Council members. Several months ago, I met with Councilmember Chateau, and she brought me a package from a women's group that was very passionate about children and unsafe firearms. It had me do a little bit of research into this item, and what I found out is many communities in the state of California have an ordinance very similar to this one. With the background, one small child dies almost every day in the country after finding an unsecured firearm in their home or in a relative's home or while playing at a friend's house. 2 older children, particularly teens, die every day in this country by suicide from an unsecured firearm they obtain from their home or their family member's home. In addition, 80% of school mass shootings are done by current or former students using an unsecured firearm obtained from their own home or relative's home. A safe storage ordinance has become more urgent than ever during COVID, given the dramatic rise in gun sales combined with more time spent sheltering at home and the increase in mental health issues. We have seen a shocking 43% increase in unintentional deaths of small children and a 9% increase in teen suicides. Research shows that keeping guns securely stored does not hinder self-protection. A gun can be accessed within seconds, but it does prevent unintentional deaths of children and teen suicide by as much as 85%, depending on the type of storage. Storing firearms in a securely locked container can also prevent guns from being easily stolen in a home robbery. Department of Justice, or DOJ, approved safe storage devices can be obtained for as little as $40, so the cost is not prohibitive, and trigger locks are often given out free at police stations, including our police station. We give away free gun locks every time we have an event like we had last week. We always have free gun locks to give out. A lot of the community does not know that old ammo, we are also accept all old ammunition, and if somebody runs across an old firearm, we take any and all firearms, no questions asked. Some people are under the impression that the California Penal Code 25100 already addresses the issue. However, it does not. This section of the Penal Code does not define how to safely store a firearm, and it does not apply to all homes. For example, parents often hide their guns, feeling that it makes them safe rather than locking them up. But studies show 70% of children know the location of these hidden guns in their own home, and many have even handled them. Many cities and towns up and down California have already adopted safe storage ordinances. And for discussion, the City of St. Helena does not presently regulate gun storage within residential locations, and improperly stored firearms may result in accidental firearm injuries and/or deaths, particularly in homes with children. Additionally, having a loaded or unlocked firearm in the homes has been associated with an increased risk of firearm-related injury and death, as well as theft of the firearm. Keeping a firearm locked when it is not being carried ensures that it cannot be accessed or used by others without the owner's knowledge or permission, decreasing the risk that the gun will be used to commit suicide, homicide, or inflict injury, whether intentionally or unintentionally. Both the International Association of Chiefs of Police and the American Academy of Pediatrics recommend the safe storage of firearms. When considering the penalty for violating the safe storage ordinance, the City of St. Helena supports a civil penalty rather than a criminal penalty, which is reflected in the attached ordinance. Cities and towns early on in the process of adopting safe storage ordinance did often adopt a criminal penalty, that is a misdemeanor. However, more recently, cities and towns have adopted a civil-only penalty. The St. Helena Police Department currently provides free gun locks to citizens and readily takes possession of any firearms or ammunition turned in by the community for destruction. The St. Helena Police Department will be sponsoring a gun safety booth during both National Night Out, which we just recently had, and during the Harvest Festival to promote gun safety, as well as provide education to the community of this ordinance. Both of these events, held annually, and will support both community awareness and education. Because of the inherent risks of not keeping a firearm locked, staff recommends the City Council adopt an ordinance adding sections to the Muni Code regarding safe firearm storage as outlined in the attached ordinance.
Thank you, Chief. Are there any initial questions from council members on the presentation?
Thank you. I have a question.
Yes.
Thank you so much for this. I'm very happy to see this come forward, and it is Moms Demand Action, which is the local group that reached out. I did have a question about the penalty part, just because I'm sorry I didn't look up what that 1.20 is. But what specifically is the civil penalty that happens if it's not safely stored?
That is recommended.
Mm-hmm.
I believe our city attorney has instruction on what most of the other California cities have done, and it would be an infraction.
Mm-hmm.
in the ordinance. Anything over $1,000 has to be a misdemeanor, which is also a criminal.
So in this case, given that it's a civil penalty, it would be an infraction under our ordinance. So the penalties for that, for an infraction under our code, are $100 for first violation, $200 for second, and then $500 after that. I would say, in my experience, what these ordinances are really geared at are making something illegal as an educational measure, so that people understand. It's not like we're going to start going into people's homes searching for their guns, but because they have the information, then most people will try to comply with the law as long as they're aware of it, and so then they're doing things that they may not otherwise do, and it kind of will change behavior in that way. So the penalty isn't necessarily what we're focused on as much as kind of using it as an educational measure.
I agree with that, and I'm happy that we're going to be doing that. I wanted to clarify just so that when I'm educating other people, and hope that we can increase that education and outreach as a community and really embrace this concept, that together we can help make sure that homes are safe and that we normalize talking about it and understanding the role that firearms and guns have in suicide and how they're on the rise with youth, and that safe storage really does have an impact.
Absolutely.
So I'm so grateful.
Safe and
Thank
responsible.
you.
Other comments or questions from council members? Councilmember Hall.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you, Chief, for your research and the department's work in getting this back in front of us, and to thank Councilmember Shudo for originally bringing it to the department's attention. Thank you. I'm all for it.
Okay, my job is to open. Councilman Hardy, any comments at this point?
No, my question's been asked and answered
thank
already.
you.
Thank you.
I'll open the public comment section. Seeing no public comment, I'll close public comment. Council, back to you for a discussion and a potential motion. The recommended action is to introduce, conduct the first reading of the proposed safe firearm storage ordinance by title only, and waive further reading. There isn't any further discussion. I will entertain a motion.
I move approval of the recommended action.
I'll second that.
Just want to bring kudos to Councilmember Chateau and thank her for bringing this forward. When council members have great ideas, they should bring them forward. And that's how we make strides in our community. Thank you so much. There's a motion and a second on the floor. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilor Chateau?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Hardy?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dorian?
Yes, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Chief. I appreciate your presentation. Have a good night. Okay. All right. Okay, moving on to item 9.2. Consideration and proposed approval of a resolution amending the appointment process for city commissions, boards, and committees. I'll go to you, Mr. Kamala, first, to introduce the item and the staff member.
Actually, Vice Mayor Dorian, this is really a city attorney researched item, so I would just turn it over to Ethan Walsh.
That's fine. You'll know that I have a habit of turning to you first, and then you can dish it to who you want. Thank you. Mr. Walsh, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor, members of the council. So this is a repeat of an item that came forward and garnered significant discussion by the council on June 14th. And as you'll recall, at the time there was a discussion regarding the city council's selection of an appointment process for commissions, committees, and other boards. And at the time, there was really two concerns that had been raised as to our existing process for making appointments, and I think Councilmember Hardy articulated those very well. But there was two kind of focuses that were reasons for concern, and one is the fact that as we go through the process of taking applicants through the process, the selection process, the council has embedded in the existing rules of procedure and code of conduct a ranking process where we rank applicants that have expressed interest from kind of number one to whatever the bottom is in order of preference. and then that's made public, which is seen at times as being a potential deterrent to people kind of engaging in the process because of kind of the hurt feelings or the kind of the frustration that could stem from being at the lower end of that ranking process. And then the second part of that was the fact that the way that our system is currently structured, the mayor makes all appointments subject to approval of the council as a whole, and some of the challenges that that's presented in the past. So after the discussion, council asked that staff return at a future meeting with a process that would first eliminate the ranking process, and second would allow any council member to nominate prospective commissioners for consideration by the council as a whole, with the caveat that there be some consideration given to potential alternatives to that approach, as were outlined in the current policies for American Canyon and the city of Napa. So I worked with the city clerk to bring something back forward. However, as part of that analysis, it came to my attention that the requirement that we have in our code that the mayor make all appointments actually comes directly from state law. And at the last meeting, I actually misspoke in that there was a question as to whether that was a requirement of mayors generally, and I was thinking in terms of the requirements for general law cities, and that's not a requirement of general law cities, but there is kind of an obscure provision of the code for cities with directly elected mayors like St. Helena, and it expressly says that if you have if the populace votes to have a directly elected mayor, then that mayor has the responsibility to make all appointments with the consent of the council. The language in the statute mirrors our municipal code section exactly. So that is a requirement that we cannot take out. We could take it out of our code, but it would still be a requirement of state law. So regardless, we do have to go through the process of allowing the mayor to make appointments with the consent of the council. So in light of that, I focused more on giving you options to address the second concern, which was the ranking process. And there's two options that we've laid out in the staff report that you can consider. Obviously, you know, there's any number of ways that you can ultimately decide to take forward your appointment process, but I tried to propose two potential options. One that was essentially based on what Councilmember Hardy was proposing during the meeting, which was a structure where essentially after conducting interviews, the council would deliberate over the people that were you know, that applied for the position, and have a discussion, and from that discussion come to the point where the mayor could propose appointments for consideration by the entire council. So Cindy's put the language for that option that I'm proposing up on the screen, so that you can recall it from your staff report. And essentially, it deletes the requirement that the council shall rank all applicants, and instead says that at a council meeting following completion of the interviews, the council shall discuss the applicants in open positions, including council member preferences for applicants. Following these deliberations, the mayor shall nominate applicants, and appointments are subject to approval by the majority of the council. So it essentially just deletes the requirement for the ranking, and instead inserts a requirement that you deliberate an appointment based on those deliberations. The second approach is based on the approach that was used by the city of Napa, and this is essentially an alternative to the ranking process, where council members will each vote only on their top applicant for each open seat, and for each open seat, the applicants with the most votes would be recommended to the mayor for the open seat, provided that they receive support from a majority of the council. If on the first vote, any applicants do not receive a majority, then what you would do is you would eliminate the applicants who received the least votes, so narrowing your choices somewhat by the folks who either got no votes or potentially one vote, and then do a revote until you get to the point where you have someone who has received support from the majority of the council. And then once you have that, if you have, say, 2 seats that are open, you have that slate of people, you recommend that to the mayor. He makes an appointment based on that recommendation, and again, it's subject to the city council, the city council's approval. So it's a little bit of a modification to the Napa process, because they don't have a directly elected mayor, so they don't have to comply with that, but it's based on that. And I have seen that process used in other communities. That's the process that was used in Davis, where I used to do a lot of work, and it did tend to be fairly effective. I think it still runs some of the risks that people who are at the lower end of the spectrum may, be a bit miffed by that, but it doesn't, put someone at the absolute bottom of the list, and so it could help in that regard. The resolution, and just one other point. So I did not offer an example that would track the American Canyon approach, because the American Canyon approach was essentially that any council member could nominate a member, and that doesn't work under the requirement when you have a directly elected mayor. So the resolution that's in your packet essentially gives 2 separate options. The option 1, which is the proposal to deliberate, to simply eliminate the ranking and deliberate. Option 2 is the Napa approach. And so if you are amenable to either one of those, you can make the proposal by moving to approve the resolution with the specified option. Obviously, there's other options out there. If neither of those seems like that would be the right fit for St. Helena, you can direct us to go back and do some more work on this. That's my presentation. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much for that excellent presentation, very thorough. I just wanted to make maybe potentially one clarification on the referral to Napa as not having a directly elected mayor. I think the difference there may be that they're a charter city.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but they do directly elect their mayor. Is that correct from your knowledge, Councilmember Hardy?
Yeah,
I think that's right. Yeah.
Directly
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Any questions, initial questions from council at this point in terms of, Councilmember Hardy, you were instrumental in moving this forward. Are there any initial questions? Sorry. And then we'll open it for public comment, and then we can have more of a discussion a little bit later.
I found the presentation clear, and I want to thank Mr. Walsh for the thoroughness of his response and the thoughtfulness of it, since it's clear to me you gave some careful consideration to what you heard at the council meeting, and have brought us something that's responsive to the concerns. So, but again, I found the staff report very clear. Thank you.
Thank you. I actually watched the council meeting again.
Oh boy!
I may owe you an apology for putting you through that, but
well done, young
thank
man.
you.
Okay, I'm going to open the public comment. Seeing none, I'll close the public comment. Back to council for a discussion about sort of the different options that we have before us, or another option if the options presented don't seem to work. And keep in mind that we can try this for a while, and if it doesn't seem to work, we can come back and keep changing it until we have perfection or almost perfection. Thoughts on the different options and some of the factors that maybe you're thinking about in terms of trying to eliminate the uncomfortableness of ranking. I know that's a big part of it. And so, Councilmember Hardy, thank you.
I think either of the 2 approaches presented in the staff report could work. My own preference is for the least structured. It may be that reflects a kind of naive faith I have in the outcome of making each and every council member for a thoughtful approach to how they speak about the applicants, but that is why I support that approach, because I think it's a method that tends to result in council members and the mayor feeling responsible for being careful and thoughtful about how they speak about the applicants, and really trying to comment on the positive and not the negative. But I can see the more structured approach working maybe as well or better depending on the circumstances. I have maybe it's just a philosophical preference for having all of us take responsibility.
What are your thoughts, Councilmember Chateau?
I'm open to either. They both look good. I was thinking structure's good. I was leaning more towards the second one, just for sake of being able to follow a process and wanting it to run smoothly and clearly understand what people mean and when they're speaking in front of a camera. And but I think we can do both.
Well, you might kind of understand if you recall that I'm a banana slug from UC Santa Cruz, and proud of the fact I never had a letter grade, that I'm just not a structured person.
Can I add one comment here?
Of course, Councilmember Hall.
Thank you.
What are your thoughts? Yeah.
So in the more structured, there's little discussion is what it sounds like. Any council member may have one applicant in mind, and that's it. There's just a vote on it, and then there's I guess a vote counting that would occur, and then it goes would be presented to the mayor to appoint that person. So I actually do like the unstructured because I think it actually holds this body accountable to discuss it openly and deliberate in public about it. And it also helps us stay focused on everybody's best traits, which I think is really what this is about. So, if we have a choice this evening between these two, which thank you very much, by the way, Mr. Walsh, I think this is terrific. My preference would be for the first one, which is the less structured, simply because it requires us to participate more. Thank you.
I think the thoughts that have been expressed so far represent my thoughts. I think simplicity is definitely helpful. One of the thoughts, just based on going through this process many, many times, not as the mayor, of course, but following it, and maybe it's my own comfort zone here. One of the things I know is that when you have that deliberation, and then you're immediately forced to make your appointments, sometimes there's not enough time there. There's a little bit of, where there are opinions from all over the map, and the opinions are typically not uniform. And so your mayor is kind of forced to sort of absorb all that and make sense of it all in a very short period of time. And so that's my concern. I think either one, I'm more in favor of option one for the reasons stated. But I'm wondering if council would consider an interview and deliberation process and then just hold off for a while, like 2 weeks, and then bring it back so that the mayor can absorb that information over 2 weeks, consider it. I don't know if that slows our process down or if it makes a big difference, or I just think that the opinions of the council are, I think, more important and will be absorbed and understood more over a little bit of time, rather than going, oh, all of a sudden we have 3 different or 4 different opinions, and now I'm needing or another mayor is needing to make that decision, right? I don't know what your thoughts are there. That's, maybe I'm projecting something that may not exist, but that's my concern.
Well, I mean, in this structure, each mayor has to decide sort of how they get to the moment of appointment, but I've seen it done often enough. I don't think it's terribly difficult to do enough of a straw poll to know where the sentiments lie. And again, in the spirit of using a process that really engages every member of the council, including the mayor, in a way that promotes or encourages a sense of responsibility for the outcomes and the quality of the process. I think that's the right way to do it. It may slow the discussion down a little bit, because the mayor needs to have a good sense of what other council members are saying about the applicants, but I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I do think it's a good thing.
I'm in support of it as in the resolution without modification.
All right.
For that reason.
Fair enough.
Vice Mayor, just
Absolutely.
my reading of the option 1 as well is it requires you to hold the deliberations, and then it says following these deliberations the mayor shall nominate. I don't think that mandates that it happens at the same meeting. If the mayor were to say, I need some time to think about this and I want to continue the item or something, I think they'd have that flexibility.
Yeah, I'm not so much concerned about the mayor. I'm concerned about the respect of the opinions that are garnered during that period of time that may be different. I think there is enough consensus that we can move forward. The recommended action says that the council consider the enclosed resolution and, if desired, adopt the attached resolution with preferred option. Seems to me there at least some consensus on option number 1. Is there a motion to adopt the recommended action pointing to whatever option you want? But is there a motion? I think we all know that it's looking like option 1, but I need a motion first and a second.
Sure, I'll make a motion that we adopt the resolution to amend our rules per option 1.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. I'll stop here for any more discussion on any items or clarifications before we vote. Seeing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilor Hardy?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Shuto?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Doring?
Yes. The motion passes unanimously. We'll see how it goes. Okay, we're slowing down a little bit. I apologize for that.
Oh my God, it's 7:10. What are you doing to us?
We're on item 10. I don't think we need a motion for this, do we, to adjourn? I get to do it? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Shoot, I can get 2 drinks in before.